Hi. Um, you asked me to sign a book for you, so I'm going to try my best. Not perfect, but maybe it'll be enough that it can kind of get you started. Before we start, there's just a few things I should say. The first is that when you're reading a book with a deaf child, it's very, very important to include the information from the front. Right here, it has the author and the illustrator. You want to make sure it's just for general literacy, for kids to understand how books work. You really want to include that information. So another tip is you need to make sure that the book is visible the whole time. I'm not sure that I have an easy way to do that myself, but let's do the first part of this now, and we'll do it as well as we can. So in this case, I'll probably set it here. I think that's good enough. So when reading books to deaf children who are using American Sign Language, so when you're reading books, let me sign that to deaf children who use American Sign Language, you want to make sure that you start from more of a performance, kind of acting out or a storytelling place. And then kind of slowly over time, you're going to move more and more and more to reading the English word for word for word. I think it's a place that many parents get stuck right in the beginning, is trying to make sure they know the sign for each word. And really the good news is you don't need to, not yet. Right now you're just trying to communicate the idea from the story and make sure that he understands what's happening and that he can match the language with the picture. And then kind of slowly transition to the English. But I really, really advise to start working with ASL first, more of a storytelling and more of a facial expression, kind of a big, more fun way to pull him into the story. So anyway, so this book, we'd sign book, and the title is what? ASL uses a lot of rhetorical questions. What is the title? And then you would sign big red apple. And you could sign big with B's, but we're going to do more ASL. So it's like L's that are bent like this. Turn sideways, almost like someone bent the barrel of your gun. Big, big red apple. That's the title. And then you say by who? And then you spell the name of the writer, who is Tony Johnston, Johnston, and illustrated by who? Judith Hoffman Corwin. Take your time, show what's in the pictures, explain there's an apple, there's a bee, scary, and a butterfly, and you can discuss all the different things. You really want to enjoy the story with your son, okay, or daughter. So here's the same, you can repeat it again. The title, you'd say the title is what? The author is who? The illustrator, and I didn't show that very clearly. The illustrator is like the sign for drawer. This is for a person who does a job. So you have the drawer, the illustrator, you have the writer. Okay. I'll try to slow down a little bit and not skip important stuff. And it has their names here. So, okay. So make sure they can see the picture. It says a tree grew and has this lovely multimedia artwork that they use for the story. Now in ASL, they set up the time first. They set up the time, then they set up the place, and then they describe what's happening in the picture. So whereas in English and Spanish and other spoken languages, we really change the time using the verbs. So I play or I played. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to set up the time first, and then we're just going to explain the story. So it says grew. We know that happened before. We're going to set that up first before we sign anything else. So you're going to say, in the past, this happened before, and then you can point over here, showing where it happened. That's kind of the place. And then you can say, so you're saying there's a tree, a new tree, and it grew. Your eyes can get big and wow, it's a new tree. If you want to get more specific about the picture, you could say there's a house. Right here next to it, there's a tree. Just maybe a very small tree. It's a baby. Ooh. It's okay. You don't have to stick to the words on the page. I'm going to explain the story right now, and later we can tie it more and more to the English. Okay? And don't forget the flowers. The flower there, a house there. The tree, new, it's baby. Grew. Became big. Fold your book too much. It's that tree. That tree. And many apples all over the tree. Okay? So to show you what I'm doing, there's the tree. And then I'm going to say apples. And I'm using like a claw hand to show the apples on the tree. And then the two things they use to describe them are big and red. So when you sign big, you don't want to go big because the apples are not this big, but you know, like a big apple size, big and red. Okay, so again for that page, which I wish I could do a better job, this is the challenge that you have at home too, is making sure that the book is visible at the same time you're signing. So you can say the tree, this tree, many apples. Show all the apples, big and red. Stay. Does it want to stay? Okay, so for the next page it says wind came, it blew with a big loud whisper. So you could say the tree, point to the tree again. You can sign sometimes. Wind came. Noisy. And just move your mouth like this. You don't have to, you don't have to make the sound if you don't want to, but basically what you're showing is that it was noisy, the wind was strong, and the tree, you can make the tree go, the wind is blowing this way. It's like blowing in the wind, like in the picture too. So they can see, and they can see, your son is pretty smart. He's going to notice right away that there are apples that are falling off. The wind's blowing, the apples are falling off the tree. Okay? There's a lot of story to tell without worrying too much about the word right now. Okay? The next page. It shook one big red apple down. The big red apple lay on the ground like a bright red rock. So again, we go back to the wind. The tree was blowing. It said one apple, big apple. So right here on the tree, the tree's blowing. The apple fell off. I have like this shape on the table. You can't see it very well. And it said, just lie on the ground there. Looked rock red. Okay. Adjust the camera down just a little bit. I don't know if I can do enough to see. Basically, I'm just doing this on the table for the apple that's lying there. So. And it does say bright, so if you want to get that concept in there too, you could say, here's the tree, it's blowing in the wind, there's an apple here, falls off, and then you point to that, say, it looks like a rock, big, bright, shiny, red. You can add all those words in. Shiny is like this middle finger, so if this is the apple, it comes off like wiggling, like it's shiny, okay? Red. Bright. So kind of keeping this hand here, and you're pointing to it and you're describing it. It's red, it's big, it's bright, shiny. Looks like a rock. You could say it's the same as a rock. What looks like a rock. Do just one more page today, and then we'll stop and I'll add more, okay? So if you were reading the English, you would just say, a worm came, which is kind of boring right now because not really understanding English very well. Change it to ASL, be much more interesting. Kids really enjoy it. So you're going to say, so the apple's here, there's a leaf. A leaf. One finger points right here to your wrist and this goes back and forth. That leaf falls on the ground. Say, over here, maybe put this as the leaf. Say, over here, what's coming? It's a worm. Okay? The real sign for worm is worm. There's no reason that you can't make a picture with your hand. So here's the leaf. Here comes the worm. Many deaf parents will use the book itself too. So they'll hold the book like this, and they'll say, here's a leaf. And it falls down here. And then doing this in a weird way is all reversed on the camera. Okay. We already established way back at the beginning this story was happening in the past. Now, we're going to say, okay? So that's a good start, and I'll continue with more later in this week, but that should be enough for you to start to be thinking about and practicing, to practice for now. Thank you. I hope that you enjoy it. If you have any questions, ask me, okay?